families that might have missed. So we're good. Go
So can I
on
get
ahead.
a recording of this?
Yep, we're gonna send that to you after tonight.
Okay,
Absolutely.
okay,
Yep,
because I gotta go. Okay, thank you very much.
you're welcome.
Okay.
And
All right, Eric.
yeah, so for the sake of recording, my name is Erik Rambush. I am the Director of Supported Living Program. I was I'm a certified special education teacher. I actually also have a background in business. I'm a career changer. And so I was in the REACH program for about 4 years before I got promoted just over a year and a half ago to this department. And so my where I was explaining before, the process is we've been, a part of, I've been a part of many meetings and I've got to know the individuals. But I start to come into play around the 18th month mark, and we've had all these meetings for those individuals here. And that's really more about let's more of the reach stuff, like their progress, where everything is, me getting to know the individuals at a different level, and kind of explaining the series of events moving forward. And the support or the case manager, aka the teacher, should have obviously given you a packet of information, and that's kind of like the flow of that information would be the context for tonight's presentation. And joining us too is my supervisor, Sunny Richards. She is the Senior Vice President of Community Programs, and she oversees the supported living program, me. She oversees the sale program, and she oversees the rec department. And so she has a big chunk of Chapel Haven, and so she's here tonight to be a part and offer certain things.
Good evening, everybody.
And
Oh, sorry, Erik.
yeah, jump in.
Thanks, Erik.
So Sunny, I have I'm going to share. I'm just kind of giving an overview and bringing everything into context, and I'm going to share the packet that I distributed to everybody as a as opposed to a PowerPoint. Um, so this meeting here, since it's a lot of REACH individuals, and I see some first year families here too, which I'm glad to see because it's never too early to get this information. So nice to see those families as well. So where we are now in our timeline for transition is we got through and we had these initial progress. We got a sense of where the individual is. Really important to this is what I want to emphasize is that summary performance report is going to take more it's going to become more important as we roll down the street here. The essential aspect is whatever the individuals are working on now, we are trying to capture where the individual is. So I think I get a sense at times that families, individuals get quite nervous around this time of year, like, oh, I've got to do this, or I'm not exactly proficient in that. Well, what I see with all the individuals here is that they are right where they're supposed to be. And so they are really working on fine tuning and just getting some more experiential learning from now until June 15th or June 16th, whenever that may be. So I'm really pleased. I can say that sincerely. We got Lauren. We're progressing with her, but for the second year individuals, we're right where we should be. And what that means is we have identified in that 18th month meeting where the individuals, what kinds of more refined targets can they work on where they can make meaningful progress with. And again, we're going to be assessing where they are. There's going to be more of a controlled, faded, less of us, more of them. And in that realm, we get to see, well, okay, they're thriving here, or they need a little bit more supports. And to that end, you read in the packet, we have support coordinators. they are a little bit more. They're the person that helps manage a person's daily their life for so these support coordinators, we go up from, we can have some people who work 1 hour a month to up until about 10 hours a month. And those people, our job, going with our mission statement, is to help people stay independent. That means we don't do for them, we work with them, we coach with them. Um, and so yes, I'll send that out to you, Trish. And if I was I'm sorry that that didn't get sent out originally. And I'm gonna bring you up here in a minute. But let me do that now. I'm just gonna hey Catherine, am I allowed to share?
Let me see. I think I have to give, yeah, hold on. You should be able to, yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
So really here, what I'm emphasizing here is this mission statement. Chapel Haven Schleifer provides lifelong individualist services for people with developmental and social disabilities, empowering them to live independent and self-determined lives. Now, one of the reasons why I'm still here at Chapel Haven and why I moved to this department is that I sincerely believe that we really adhere to all the Americans with Disabilities Acts, which is rooted in civil rights. So that key element of living independent, self-determined lives really takes on a very important role for us. We don't, again, we don't do for people. We're not a cleaning service. If that's a compensatory strategy that we need to put in place, sure. But we coach, we help with sequence, we help with hey, let's take this big I was working with an individual today. He gets stressed out about his room. I was like, hey, it is what it is. But it was like, let me chunk this room for you. Let's not just be like, oh, this room's a tornado, let's clean the entire room. No, we went in, we took a look at it. Okay, what do we got to do? And we chunked it for them. So again, taking big things and making, that's what we do. Cooking example is the same thing. We're looking to take those recipes that they learned in Reach and build upon them. Those 30-minute meals. We can instruct on new meals and coach them. But again, we want to emphasize like something that is attainable for them. Like we might not make a lasagna that's not attainable because that's not something that is in their current skill set, but making an entree salad as opposed to just a side salad, like adding a protein to it. Yeah, let's work on that for the month until we fade that. I love the term I do, we do, you do. I teach, we practice, it becomes the individuals. And so we're at that stage in a macro sense, and we also can pick up where they are on that. So following this, last month's in the Reach residents, again, we're really focusing on what is attainable, and what isn't attainable prescribes to me what level of support an individual needs. Is it, I'm it's pretty safe to say that it's at least a minimum of 3 hours going into this transition, because we take individual shopping, meal prep, but 3 to 5 hours is about what we're working with, especially so those individuals who are transitioning into what we call our bridge program, which I didn't really specify in this document, but really it's on campus. It's actually above me in the building that I'm in now. And we'll go up to, I think it's around 4 hours we're looking at. But we feel we're going to get that information as we develop for those bridge people, what we can accomplish a lot. And they're here on campus, and they're they have security, they have sign-ins, and we find that it's better that they generalize certain, it's like a step off into the community. That is a 1-year program, and it could, if we find that the individual has an opportunity to move into the community, and we all on the team, including the individual, feel that they're ready for that, then hey, we can move them out of the bridge program into that. But it's that step off, and we want to keep it to a measured year in that sense. So again, we're assessing right now. We're in the process of assessing their level of need in terms of those support hours and what specifically we're going to target as we get into the REACH program, or I mean, as they matriculate and get into the the SLP or the Bridge program. Any kind of questions thus far about support coordinators? Okay, and if you have something, please throw it into the chat if I'm speaking, and Catherine and Sunny can help or keep an eye on that for me if I'm talking so much. But again, some of the other things that we work on is developing their day. And we found that that takes time. And so there's a lot of services that we can do to build a robust day. Um, and so, for instance, a lot of the things that we're currently working on. So the next round of meetings, I'm actually going to be sending out. I'm going to be taking over the scheduling of those now because they become more of my meeting. Is going to be late March, early April. Those meetings are going to be focusing more on, some refined supports, but really starting to build out what that meaningful day, what can we do to set up their robust day? And like I said, it does take time, and the career ability team really starts to take a bigger role in that that development. And so
Eric,
as
we do have a question.
yes, please.
What is the difference between the Bridge and SLP programs? Do the young adults go either to Bridge or SLP?
Yes, so we have certain recommendations that we've already made. And again, we can revise those, but we made those in the first round. Really, the difference is that we feel that some individuals may their trajectory and they're trending well to move into the community, but they may need a little bit extra time adjusting and looking at like acclimating to the community itself, some of those routines. Maybe they have some activities of daily livings, ADLs, that they're still kind of trying to work out. And so having a familiar area, being on campus here is a little bit more of a safety net. So it really is, in my opinion, SLP. But it's just one little more step. It's like a little extra ramp to get out into the community. Maybe there's some more development with like travel training and things like that. Now, SLP, some individuals, for whatever reason, maybe they're older, have different experiences where they're ready to just move into an apartment right off the bat. And so we made those recommendations for a few of those people who, hey, you're ready to start looking at real estate, which is an important thing. But it's a little bit of a nuance. I don't know if I answered that question completely, but it's a stepping stone to the community.
So Bridge would be you're still on campus, sort of stepping down, and supported living or SLP is you're out in the community.
Absolutely. And what does that community mean? The community is about around 2 miles radius. It's known area that the individuals travel, that they've been trained on the last few years. So it's not like that's the ideal. There are some areas that we go as far as what's called Blake Street down. If you can recall, there's this nice cafe which I've yet to go to in my 5 years here, called Pistachios. That's Blake Street, and down there's a lot of some apartment complexes. We have individuals there, and it's a little bit of a farther walk, but most of the individuals are within that 1.5, 2 mile walking radius to campus. And those support coordinators, sometimes the individuals come to this building here. And this building is, if you can picture driving on Whaley Avenue, there's a big sunshine on a brick building. Or as you come into campus, it's that first brick building that will be on your right as you enter in. And we have housing here, and it houses our offices, where I am, and some work areas and stations. We'll have individuals come in, maybe they need to use computers, they need to do some word processing applications. But our support coordinators either drive or walk to the person's apartments and do a lot of work in the actual apartment. And so the Bridge program, we want to treat this as it's an apartment. It just happens to be on campus. And so we want those individuals to have that apartment-like experience, like be able to come and go. There is a sign in, sign out. But again, just having a few extra things to iron out before they move into the community. In addition,
Another question.
yes. Mhm.
What is the staffing for the Bridge program? How many hours and for what purposes?
Well, the staffing for me, I'd be using my current staff of my support coordinators. It's my support coordinators would be working with the individuals. There's no real difference in how they employ the work, how they actually work with the individual. It's more of the Bridge thing here is more of the location and some of the things that come with being on campus, and that location. The support coordinators would work just like if they went right into the community. And right now, we're looking at about correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm misquoting something, Sonny, but it's about 4 hours of direct service a week, that would be a part of that Bridge program that's encapsulated in a tuition-based cost.
Yeah, sorry, Eric. Yeah, so I
Yeah,
just
please.
was answering in the group chat that
Mhm.
we meet individuals where they're at, but it can be up to 10 a week
10
in the
hours.
Bridge program.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I think that typically, and forgive me, I had to step out for a minute, Eric, but so if we've already talked about like the expectations for graduation, and how that translates into specific objectives, that's how we arrive at sort of an hourly, a number that we're going to provide, right? So if an adult, I always use the example, if an adult needs help in the grocery store, we might allocate an hour a week to that, right? But we get that objective from the expectations for graduation report directly. So that's how we build the support. But that support is just one part of the programming, right? So the support coordinator provides that one-to-one sort of life skill instruction, but then they're also the case manager. They're responsible for putting together the entire schedule, which may include services from Career Ability, maybe working with families on benefit services. We may have a little bit of the day program in there, or UARTs. So, the support coordinators, you want to think of them as life skill instructors working on those objectives that are based in the expectations for graduation, right? What's left to work on, if you will, upon transition, and then coordinating their whole schedule, which is essentially a package of services provided by Chapel Haven. So, I mean, I can sort of write that down in the chat too, but that's just a little summary.
So the
And
question is, can Bridge participants be part of the weekend recreation program? What classes at Chapel Haven might they be able to attend?
absolutely. So what we're moving towards, so in the subsequent meeting that's coming up in like that, again, the end of March, early April, I will have a packet of information that includes some information. It's a proposal, an estimate and things such as we propose and things that we've already been talking about, but you're going to start to see them now more fleshed out. So in that, the individuals still have access to rec. They still have access to career ability. They still have access to all these current services. Now, when we produce this proposal, we'll have information whether what's included in tuition and what becomes a la carte. So currently, like for instance, someone moving into the community, like right into the community, rec has a subscription fee. It's like cable. I pay for HBO still, but if I don't watch it all month, I still have to pay for it. But I have access to those programs. And in addition, if I want to rent a movie, I can do that. So that stuff that cost, that subscription fee does become an a la carte unless we're in that bridge. And again, Sonny, if quote me, catch me if I'm wrong, that the part of the tuition that we're still working on a few things is that rec subscription. I think, was that right, Sonny? The in the bridge tuition.
Yeah, in the bridge, it's actually the benefits coordination piece is included in the tuition.
Okay, so the rec
The
subscription
rec.
fee is
Yeah.
a la carte then.
Yep.
Okay, so then some things that, and I actually wrote, edited and wrote some of that here. But for instance, you can do, there's two tiers in rec. There's the, hey, just I want to go do on-campus things only, or I want to do on-campus and off-campus. And that will be, outlined that what that subscription fee is. Now, of course, what is normally occurring right now in Reach when they want to go to a Yankees game. Well, they currently budget that whatever the $65 for the transportation, the ticket, and like a meal, and so that still is part of it. But now that fee is something that is again out of pocket, and I'll stipulate all that. So as Sonny was saying, we do have we oversee our benefits department. And we have two social workers. One specifically works on entitlements, and so that service will be a part of the tuition based thing. So, for instance, why would we use a benefits coordinator? Well, if an individual had a job and they have to submit their bank statement and their pay stubs monthly. Well, are we train the individuals, and if they have trouble with this, we support them, but they present that paperwork to Alicia Enrico, whose name you'll see later in this document, and she will process those things. Setting up certain we don't set up social security. We can point you in the right direction, but really that's something the family does. But again, anything when it comes to rent subsidies or utilities, that piece, I mean, it's a little different because we're the landlord, but there's services that I'll show you as we get down in there that will be part of. They won't be a la carte. They would actually be part of tuition. And so, but yes, the bridge program, there's nothing really exclusive, that they're still going to have the things that they've been trained on and that they know and reach is transition. It's coming with them. So the community that they're building, all the things that they've done, continue to be, and it's just now more of like, hey, what path do the individuals want to take and what can be afforded and all that. I hope I answered that question. Okay. Any other questions about particular services? Okay. And that's where we are here. So as we speak about services, a lot of this is how do we build their day? And especially out of the gate when they transition into the summer. Well, the individuals have access to CAE, one of our acronyms, continuing adult ed classes. Think of those as the current electives that the individuals have. Again, those are pay to play, those are a la carte, and we offer, a catalog that everyone's already familiar with, and they can choose to add certain, either whether they're enrichment or they're entertaining classes like out to art or jewelry making. Those things are still accessible to the individual. We also offer still that wellness program, which is a separate catalog, but individuals, and we can easily roll over what's already, if that's the case. Like if they're working with a one-to-one trainer now, we can just keep that going and roll that over. There are courses that they can take, like cardio kickboxing, fitness club. There's a running club the hiking club. All these things are still available to the individuals. And those we will help with, we will work with you to determine what budget is available to that individual. We may have already have that information as we transition some of that from the current teacher case managers in reach. And we can help the individual pick those and stay within a budget. Sometimes the families choose to do that themselves. But again, our support coordinators help with that. And they, especially the rec trips that come out monthly. Hey, you can pick two months, you have $100. It looks like you can do 15 things or two, depending on if it's a big ticket cost, and we can work on that and we can help manage that. So we have wellness and career and continuing adult ed classes. We have also, and this is something that we're assessing and we're looking at doing in the next round of meetings, is whether or not the CLP Community Life Day program is relevant to the individual, even if it's perhaps it's just for transition or for other aspects. And so we're going to look at recommendations for that, and we're going to be setting up like trial days or trial weeks with the CLP manager's name. It's spelled. It looks like it's Neary, but it's Netty, like Netty, but it's pronounced Nery. And Nettie Aldana. And so that's a part of the next round, is that we're taking a look to see if it's relevant. And if it is, let's start building that connection, that experiential learning. Now, what is the day program? I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with day programs in general. Chapel Haven is a vendor, an approved vendor for several things, and one of them is our day programming. And the day program, they work on socialization, they work on some basic activities of daily living, out like preparing your lunch for the day and bringing it with you. They do again, very intentional socialization things. Like it's not just a game of Uno. It's just like, hey, who's going to lead? We're doing these things. Now, the other aspect is that the individuals participate in the community. And on certain days, they have activities where they volunteer, they help support local establishments, and they get out. It's a meaningful day. They're participating, and they're not just, someone's not just sitting around all day. And so we can look at maybe they're billed either by the day or the half day. So certain days might be community-based days, and maybe those are more appropriate for that person, or maybe the socialization things. But again, that's a conversation that's in our next round of to-do items. Our agenda list is to seeing the relevancy and space and all those things, and if it works. We have UArts, which is individuals work on art projects. They're the ones that produce all all our swag, all our t-shirts, all our hats, things like that. And that's something that we're revamping and looking into, and hopefully we can find a spot if that's something that works for the individual. But it also, I wanted to take a moment about, you see here at the bottom, personal chef. We know some people that contract, separately. They would be someone that you would pay directly, I believe. But some individuals benefit from working with an individual that has more training than our support coordinators. We have several support coordinators who love cooking, and that's one of everybody has their niche that they love to do. But these people tend to, work on portioning. They may go shopping for the individual or with the individual to pick out specific meals that they are going to make together. And that's something that we can tap into as a service if that comes, if that's something that's important to, other than those honey plate, formerly edibolic meals. Because one of the things, you'll mention it, we've mentioned in this packet is, food and finances, just like, that's one of my biggest, things that I work on. And it's budgeting, the concept of meals, all that sequence. How many meals do I need? What can I cook? All those things, and health. And I can't eat 5 of my meals in one day, because now I don't have I don't have enough food to get through. So we do have a wellness program where they can help with some nutritional things. If in some cases, it would be working with a healthcare provider if they need another level of support. We don't, again, we help, our support coordinators help identify that. So if there's a nutritionist involved, hey, let's talk to the primary care physician, get a recommendation, and see how we can work, and then incorporate some of those things that like, hey, the nutritionist stated that they have to reduce carbs by X. Well, going to what is a carb, a simple carb versus a complex carb? How do we help manage that? And we can take those prescriptions and work as we meal plan. And as a side note too, with like mental health, there's individuals that benefit from cognitive behavior therapy or talk therapy, or other therapies. And just like life, if those things come up, we would work with you to hey, we see evidence that so and so may benefit. What do you think? And then we would help get them to appointments or set those up. We also have volunteering programs, but again, we're going to get into more specific items. The PAVE program, some people have thought about the PAVE program. That exists when they're in reach. Once they've gone through that program, we would look to do other services that the career ability team will be speaking more about in those next meetings. And then again, and when they do their department meeting in that second week of, I think it's April 9th, Catherine said. So I'm going to pause. Any questions about services or how that looks right now? Or any other comments? Okay, and again, this is the next big step for us is, like, oh, my individual, I don't want him or her to have nothing to do all day. Well, it does take a certain time to get certain things in place, just like graduating, college. Some people were fortunate to walk right into a job. Other people, there's things that need to, but this is the formula for all intent and purpose of how we create someone's day. And it does progress. We usually find that by the fall, it becomes between their activities of daily living, the services that we do, the things that they know that they can do, that is routine based, and then these other supplemental things that we piece together. But just to manage expectations right off the bat, someone's not going to have a 40-hour work week. There is going to be time, and that's another thing that I've emphasized to the teachers in Reach, is to really let's utilize this time to really practice how to manage open time, and to negotiate making plans, and all those things that where they like, hey, I don't know what to do, because that is something that we work on in Reach Mondays and Fridays. And so I want them to, even if some of our individuals know people in the community, I'd like them to start to branch out and start to see. And I'm going to go into that a little bit more about what my intentions are to help that along. So a little bit more of a housekeeping thing, the move. I think individuals are asked to move out by, so I think it's Friday. Forgive me if it's the 15th or 16th of June. They're asked to be out of their home, out of reach by that Sunday. Most individuals are out that day after graduation. We have a nice ceremony. There's a meet and greet. We talk, and then a lot of individuals, um, you know, part ways for a summer vacation. We are able to, and I have to again, I have to assess as I go. But with our operations manager of IT and security of Brad Bopp, we may be able to temporarily store things on campus, not in the Reach building, because they have to turn over that space. There's a lot of cleaning and other logistical things they can do, but we can you don't have to pack up for 2 or 3 weeks only to bring back the same things. So we'll look to find space as best we can, to make sure that, hey, they go home for a couple. Usually also individuals tend to take like a break, for those few weeks, at the end of June, early July, do some summer things. And it's really important to emphasize is that we're working with someone's life. So if someone wanted to take a vacation in September, or November, it's just like me putting in for PTO to take a vacation. So we operate on a life schedule and not necessarily the Reach schedule. We do follow a term-based schedule like Reach does for classes, but like certain one-to-one personal training, certain things like that roll over. But we help them quarterly with if they want to take those continuing adult ed classes. But again, people want to take vacation, or they or whatever needs they may have. Again, we work with someone's life. And so yes, that following Sunday, they all must be moved out, and we'll do our best to house their, because they usually don't have a lot. Anything I'm missing there, Sonny or Catherine, I'm moving out? I think I covered pretty well. If I missed something, yeah, just let me know. Some of the things are the individuals are they're soon to become community members, or individual. Like we often refer, that's our big phrase that we use now. They're no longer students. We also found that our community here likes to be called that. Sometimes people like to be called graduates. I have a group of, we serve 109 people right now, from the ages of, I think our youngest is 20 or 21, and we went up to the early 70s. And so some of those, there's different cohorts and packages of people, bundles of people, that some don't like to be called graduates because they're like, hey, I've been in the community for 35 years, and they like to be called a community member. What we do shy away from, and and this is highlighted that I like to highlight that we are in sync with like the state. I think a lot of times we are the bellwether, we're the leader of certain things when it comes to you know, our live supporting people, but they don't like to use the term client. And we echo that too. It's impersonal, and so they're not clients, they're community members. And that's usually the biggest term, that the most frequently used term that we use. And that's very important to the psychology of the individuals and how they progress and how they see things. And we like to honor that. So as I move on here, you know, one of the big things that I have to stump about here is I'm very proud of the people I work with, that, you know, that I've hired, and the people that Sunny had hired that have been. We have two of the oldest, or they have the longest tenure here, and one of them is the longest is this woman Debbie Elliott, who's been here for 37 years. She's, you know, she was a special education teacher in ACEs, and she actually just came up to me one day and said to me, she's retired. She's like, you know, I could retire, but I just don't want to. I just love being, you know, being a part of this community. And to me, that speaks volumes, because I can build off of that. And it's very essential to this transition is that prompt dependency. And that's one of the reasons why we like the bridge program for some, and also why we like the for individual, like as we fade support, we really want sorry, I lost my train of thought. There's a guy working outside my room. I hope you don't hear the banging. But the what's really is that dignity and that prompt dependence, you know, that reduction of prompt dependency, and that we've had people come to us and say, hey, you're not my mom. I already have a mom, or I already have a dad. And we kind of chuckle with that. But they call me Erik for a reason. They call Sunny and Catherine by their first name for a reason. You know, it's personable, but they're adults. It's not like, let me raise my hand, Mr. Rambush. It's that's very important to us, and that's important to the individual too. And I've actually worked with we have some in-house people that have experience with being, they're actually a board certified behavior analyst, if you're familiar. And we consult with a person, you've probably heard of her, Dr. Sperry. She's like a gem in the field, and she's like a national treasure from the Yale School of, I'm tongue-tied here, but again, it's positive behavior language. It's what you can do. It's honoring the dignity, self-determination, choice. And a lot of the individuals aren't quite even used to that yet. And even though we do a good job in Reach trying to fade that, you know, they're in that building. They're always, you know, hey, Bill, I got this question for you. And it's there's some redirection that takes place. And so that's very important to me, this idea that we respect people's dignity. And I'm very proud of our department. Yes, we can all get better. Sometimes I wag my finger, or I say you can't, but again, we do train on this. It's very important to me. And especially when someone's not having their best day, is how we handle that. We do training called non-crisis intervention. And a lot of it is because we're a hands-off agency. A lot of that is just verbal de-escalation. How do we just say, hey, we're not going to lecture someone. I tell staff, don't die on that hill. Don't try and lecture. Don't try and win an argument. Okay, I see you're having a bad day. What's one of your strategies? Listen to music or take a walk? And if they're having a bad day, and most individuals don't take advantage of this, there are times when I'm just like, I don't feel well, or I'm angry. And so we'll help them, as opposed to, no, we have to get this done, unless it is something critical, like you have no food. But we also, to that end, we plan to make sure that if there's ever, our individuals should be independent enough, like with our planning that we do try to provide relief coverage and support, but there are days where someone calls in sick and I've already have someone out on vacation. I try to jump in, Sunny tries to jump in, but if I'm already backed up with meetings. And so that individual should be able to manage their day, and then we could make that up. But of course, there are times when it's just like, yeah, but I did eat all my food, and today was my grocery shopping day. We find a way, and we will make sure that no one ever goes hungry, whether it's with our resources or we're just like, hey, I got to cancel something and take you grocery shopping. Um, so that's, again, we manage all of that. So here are a few, you have my contact information. I'm easy. You're going to start for the next round of meetings. I'm going to plan those. I'm going to schedule those. So you're going to see my stuff already, and you probably already have my information. Um, we'll get, we have an administrative assistant that you may reach out to. This person will help with our annual meetings. We'll do some initial meetings around the 45-day mark just to do a check-in and things. We do like to operate off of objectives. Again, I'm not going to make an objective for they will take you into the medical appointment. That's just assumed, unless some families like, no, we always want to do it. There are times when we get them on speakerphone. Our staff go with paperwork to come back with, which is really important for the communication process. They'll explain things. But as we transition, you'll find that we will, if you want, we assume more of that role. When it comes to medical accompaniment, we have Nettie's contact information as he becomes relevant. He is relevant, but if his program becomes relevant, we will of course connect you and make those process. And that's part of their overseen by the career ability department. So that they're inherently built into our next round of discussions. We have Alicia Enrico, our benefits coordinator. If you're concerned about, like, if you're not a Connecticut resident, what that looks like, what are the benefits of becoming a Connecticut resident, all those things, we can talk you through that. Now, the orientation process, I have this thing called Life After Reach. I'll be teaching this class with another Reach teacher. I don't know who the Reach teacher will be. All the individuals will be in that. I think we're doing one section, so they're one, again, I like the idea of them having a cohort, safeties in number. They don't have to be best of friends, but there's some camaraderie there with that. And during that process, I intend to make it more experiential than the previous year, having mentors assigned. What is the community? Like I talk about it all the time. Well, everybody, I say banana, and I can tell you that everybody has a different picture in their mind's eye of what a banana is. So we're going to, again, help paint that picture, show people homes, what life is like, all those things, problem solving. We're going to walk through for that 12, 13-week course and make it experiential. There's, here's some of just kind of some technical things. A lot of you know the campus community, and if you haven't, if you want more me to take you around campus or around the community, reach out to me and we can talk about, because I do have some individuals that, some families that are looking for a little bit more of like, what's it look like if you haven't had that experience. And that's something we can frame out in the next meetings as well.
Erik,
yes, yeah,
so
for the sake of time.
I'm going to be sending everybody this recording, but Erik, if you want to send me this transition packet, I can send it out to everyone tomorrow with my follow-up so that everybody has it.
Yeah, I'll resend it. I sent it to the administrators, but I didn't want people to get hung up on fees for this meeting. That I'm presenting, in the next round of meetings. But I want you to have like a background of what's to come. But then we'll again, I'm trying to do the inverted pyramid is instead of overwhelm people. Now, for the sake of time, does anyone have any initial questions or thoughts?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are there any parents on the call who've already started like looking at an apartment or want to share anything about how that's going?
So here, the individuals that I see, with the exception of Lauren, because she's a first year, the recommendation has been bridge. And
Okay,
so I have Trish, if you want to, again, come in and whether it's the next round of meetings, after that meeting, I can build in some extra time. Angela, again, same thing. I have a plan with Jacob and Carol this Friday, but we can, again, one of the things that I really want to, and Kevin as well, one of the things that I really want to make sure that I do is paint that picture, to take away from, the uh, hey, my banana is an Andy Warhol kind of half ripened banana. Some people might just picture the yellow. I want to make you feel comfortable, and I want you to understand what life will be like, and it's evolving. Sunny put out there that I know they've been working really hard on developing the tuition costs and making sure that it's fair and all the things that are. So she's going to be. That's the reason why I'm hoping that will be on schedule for that end of the month, early April, but I have to take my senior vice president's lead, and that's out of my pay grade. But so she's there. Again, any feedback, anything, any worries? I just want you to know that this is the setup for our next round of meetings. And we're going to be talking about numbers, hopefully, and we're going to be like proposal stuff and a meaningful day. And how do we get there? It might not be finalized, but that's our mission for our next round of meetings.
Terrific
All right.
presentation, Eric. Thank you.
yes,
Oh, I
thank
appreciate
you.
that.
And thank you to all the parents and thank you to the students. And I want to just also thank, we have some ambassadors on here. So we have
Oh,
Lauren
yes.
and we have Jacob and Carol Glazer has helped us out and
Kevin.
Kevin has helped us and Ellen has helped us. She probably doesn't know it, but she has. And I want to give them a big shout out, especially the students. They are so terrific and they do such a great job. So
And guys, you are very valuable because that picture, like in someone's mind, you help paint that picture for a parent or someone else. Like, hey, this is what I do. And that's critical. That's very important. And I appreciate that.
you're all bananas. How do you like that?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I'll be following up to send you the information and we appreciate your time. And thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
No
Thank you.
problem.
Thanks, Eric. Thank you.
All right.
Eric,
Thank you.
thanks.
Guys, you'll be
Good
hearing
night,
from me soon.
everybody.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Thank you.
Good night.
That sounds great.
All right. Good night.
Good night, Owen.
Happy birthday, Sonny.
Thanks, Catherine. I'll see you Friday.
Okay, bye.